Hi, Global Teachers. We are going to do the second part of independent reading. We talked last time about how important independent reading is and that our students do it every day. It's on a schedule and what they can get from their independent reading. Lots of good information, lots of knowledge, lots of words they encounter. Let's start with the verse today. And I'm always so encouraged when I read the Bible, when I study the verses. And I hope these short little times of looking at a verse encourage you. So today is 1 Corinthians 3:2. And it's only part of the verse because it was quite long. This is the part I want us to focus on. But you can go back in your Bible and read the rest of it. It says, I gave you milk to drink, not solid food, for you were not yet able to receive it. And this is Paul writing a letter to the Corinthians. And he is reminding them, like we often need to be reminded, that when we first begin really studying the Bible, learning, going to church, maybe we're a new believer in Jesus Christ, that at first, much of the Bible may seem a little confusing to us, and we need to remember just to read it, and we will get that little bit out of it, like milk. And as we continue, as we grow, as we develop in our faith in Jesus Christ, we begin to get more solid food. And one of my favorite parts of this verse is we never stop getting that solid food, that nourishment from the Bible. So I encourage you to read and study and pray. It's so rewarding. So today we're going to go further into independent reading. And we're going to talk about what are the students ready for? What kind of book are they ready for? How do we help our students find that really good book for them? So why is it important to read at the right level? Because students are going to have more growth in their reading, in their comprehension, in their fluency, in their vocabulary, if they're reading what we call a just right book. And I encourage you to teach these terms to your students. And hopefully, all the teachers in your school will start doing this so the students year to year get very familiar with this. So a just right book is not too easy for them. We all know if you do something that is really easy for you to do, you're not growing and learning. If the book is too difficult for the student to read and comprehend, they're not going to grow. They're going to lose that comprehension because they're struggling with the words. They're struggling with the topic or the concept. And so they are not going to be growing in their reading. So how do students choose the just right book? Well, it's a teaching time for you. So I encourage you to set aside a little 10-minute lesson at the beginning of the school year, and you probably will want to refer back to this lesson multiple times that first month or so of school. And I think it's good to put up a chart that shows this, and later on in the video, I'll show you one. So you're going to teach them a lesson. You're going to instruct them on good readers know how to choose a good book. And so here's some example of some things a good reader would do is they look at the cover. They look at the illustrations. Does it look interesting? Does it look like something you would want to read? Are there animals on the front? You like to read about animals. Look at the title. Does that seem like it's an interesting book? As the children get older, you can teach them to look at the back of the book and read that little synopsis. There's a whole lesson right there in just reading the back of the book. Does it seem interesting? Talk to students about genres. Do you like fiction books? Do you like fantasy books? Do you like science fiction books? Do you like historical books where you're learning about history? What's your genre? And it takes students some time to realize what genre they're really interested in. Maybe they are beginning to find an author or a series that they really like. I notice many of the students are beginning to enjoy Magic Treehouse series, the Fly Guy series, Pete the Cat, and we know they love Junie B. Jones. So also beyond that, the level must be just right for their reading. So teach the students the 5-finger rule. So the 5-finger rule is, and I would put a chart like this up on the wall, what to do to pick a book. Open the book to any page that you want. Now, if children are reading books that only have a sentence per page, this probably isn't appropriate for them. All of those books are kind of in their level. But once they begin to have 2 to 3 sentences or more per page, open it to any page that has 2, 3, 4 sentences on it, and have them put up one finger for every time they come to a word they don't know. Now, if they struggle just a second on it, but can figure it out and move on, that doesn't count. But they just are not sure. They pause long enough that they're losing the comprehension. So after reading that page, if they have 0 or 1 finger up, it's too easy. They haven't encountered any new words. If they have 1 to 2 fingers, it's the perfect choice. Now notice 1 is on both, 0 to 1 and then 1 to 2. I often tell my students that kind of gives them a choice of what they think. If it is a really long, like a chapter book, and there was 1 word on it, that's probably, going to be like, oh, that's not enough. But if it's a short sentence and they have 1, then we're probably okay. If it's 3 to 4, they can still give it a try. And give it a try means after a few pages, you find yourself not understanding, put the book away. Let the students know it is okay to stop a book that is too difficult for them. They will eventually learn to put a book away if it doesn't interest them, if it's too hard. I do that as an adult. There are books I do not finish for a variety of reasons. And if they have 5 or more, they just need to stop. It's too hard. They need to move on to a different book. So here's a chart you could put up and teach it to your students. If you Google how to find the just right book or a good book, you will find lots of charts. Choose the one that you're interested in teaching to your students. So this one is the I pick. We said when we're doing this independent reading, the students choose the book. The P is purpose. Why do I want to read it? What's good about this book? Is it a good genre? Is it interesting pictures on the front? Talk to those things about the students. Interest level, does it interest me? Comprehend, I understand what I'm reading. It's a topic I can understand. And know, that's your 5-finger rule. I know most of the words. So Google it, look up a chart. So once your students find that just right book and they are reading their just right book, it's really good to occasionally meet with each student. So it could take you a month to get through all the students, but just to touch base with them. So while everyone is reading, you can ask one student to come up to your desk. Explain to them beforehand what you're going to do. They're not in trouble. They can tell you if they're struggling with the book. It's okay. And ask the student to tell you what they've read so far. They might only be 3 or 4 pages into it. They might be further into it. Are they remembering? If it's a chapter book, are they remembering the beginning? If not, give them some strategies. Go back and look at the chapters. Do they help you remember what the book is about? Go back and read the first page or two again. I tell the students when they come to the library and get a bookmark that every time they open their book to their bookmark, they should stop and go, what did I just read last time I read this book? And summarize in their head what they just read, and that keeps them going. If the students cannot tell you about their book, you can begin to ask them some questions. Tell me about the characters. Tell me about the setting. If it has pictures, point to a picture you feel is important. You can skim those pages very quickly and figure out the story, and ask them to tell you about the pictures. Ask them if they did the 5-finger rule. Maybe do it with them so you can say, this book is really difficult. Maybe let's go start another one. Often I tell the students, this book is difficult, but you are really growing reading it. It's getting close. So when you're done, go back and read it again, especially if it's those short, you can read it in 30-minute type books. Have them read it 2 times and remind them that second time you'll understand it better and you will grow even more in your reading. So the conference is just for you to find out what they're reading, touch with base with them on how they're doing. Are they struggling with anything? But mostly, it's just for you to enjoy time with that student, enjoy spending some one-on-one because they love it, and to really praise them and encourage them. So here's the reminder. It is so important to do independent reading every day, and that you and your students look at it as a good time to learn. It's for fun, but you're really learning. They're learning so much. So, teachers, enjoy. If you're home in the evening watching this, grab a good book and read it.